So for today's video, I'm going to be working on a bunch of outboard motors. But before we work on these outboard motors, I have some brand new stands that I got. So we're going to assemble those first so we can put some of these outboards on these new stands. Today's video is being sponsored by Sternmaster Marine Tools. They make a bunch of different products. They make a bunch of outboard stands. They make lure unit stands. We're going to use a couple of these products in this video for one of my projects. And we're going to assemble all this and we're going to check out what we got here. So I got all the stands together. Huge shout out to Sternmaster Marine Tools for sending me these products. And I'm just gonna do a quick little overview of what they sent me, just in case if anyone is interested. So first up, I'm gonna show you this stand, and this is probably one of my favorites because I'm gonna use this a lot. You could actually roll this thing in the grass. The tires are airless. You don't have to worry about them going flat ever. And I mean, it's just really heavy duty the way, you know, they're designed. We got this stand. And this thing is super heavy duty. The casters on here are really nice. They are greasable. They do lock and everything. And right here we have a lure unit rack that will hold 9 lure units. And this thing will rotate completely 360 degrees, which is nice. And these are pretty neat. You know, if you have a garage and you have a small chair, you could work on your lure unit, you know, if you're putting a water pump or something. So these are pretty neat. This model actually screws onto your workbench, and you could actually work on your lure unit on there. And this one right here actually goes onto your hitch mount on your vehicle. So if you're doing a service call or something, you could put that on your hitch and work on your lure unit. So I want to show you guys this product because I know a lot of you guys could actually use this. Basically, they provide you the brackets and you put your lumber on there and you hang it on your garage wall. And you can hang up your outboard motor just like that. First up, we're gonna be working on this Yamaha 50. A little backstory is I bought this. It came off a pontoon boat. It wasn't running correctly. It sounded like it was running on 2 cylinders. It's probably the carbs that are gummed up. The owner did tell me that the trim motor wasn't working. I hooked up the battery cables to the battery and it's just clicking. But if we look at this trim motor, it's pretty nasty. It looks like someone put some silicone on here. So this is most likely fried. I got the wires disconnected that run to the trim motor, hooked up my jumpers, and now if I touch this with this jumper and if the trim motor works, then our trim motor is good. And it looks like it's bad. So here's my trim motor, and we just have to get this old one out, which isn't too much work, so let's get to it. So let's say your trim motor goes out and it's in this position and it's kind of hard to actually put a tool in there in order to remove that trim motor. Well, pretty much on all outboards they have a release screw, and once you unscrew this, your power tilt and trim basically becomes a manual tilt and trim. So you could actually pull this back and you could get your hands in there. See that? Now we could actually put some tools in here and take that trim motor out. And if we just wiggle it out, it will come out just like this. So I'm a little aggravated right now because I have the wrong trim motor for this engine, even though it said that it would fit. I have a plan B, and plan B is to remove the trim motor off of this 50. Now this 50 was sunk. It is locked up, but it looks like it has a really nice trim motor. This is the motor that we're working on. I have to use the hoist to lift this one so I could actually access the trim motor bolts easily. Yay, this is the correct one. So when I was mounting the electric motor, I noticed that this pin right here was moving back and forth a lot, and I noticed that the clip was missing. So I'm going to be putting a new clip in here. So I'm moving on to cleaning the carburetors on this engine, and I noticed this oil injection tank is completely empty and there's just nasty stuff coming out. I mean, this stuff, look at that. Water, I don't even know. Look what just came out of that. Look at this. I mean, this needs to be cleaned out. So went ahead and I sprayed some degreaser inside here. I let it sit for a little bit and I'm gonna rinse it with water. Gonna repeat the process a few times. Then I have to let this completely dry inside before I put it back on the engine and I fill it up with oil. So I'm taking off my oil injection lines, going to the pump just to make sure I have no gunk in there. And this is what came out, and this looks like just oil, which is perfect. So gonna clean everything up. We're gonna take the fuel filter off, make sure we have no debris in there, clean the carbs, we'll fire her up. So this lever right here, when you give a throttle, this pushes down on the oil injection pump, which increases the amount of oil getting to your engine. This happens a lot. I see this all the time because of the age of these motors. They always break and crack, and you could see how someone repaired one. They glued it and they use braided line, and when it's supposed to look like this. So check on your motor if these are bad. You can get them, replace them if they're broken or cracked. So I have the fuel filter housing off, and when you take this off, it just unscrews. You have this in here, the screen. Basically, you'll have debris on that screen, and especially down here. Now, I smelled the fuel in here, and it smells pretty nasty and old. So I have the carbs off completely, and now I'm gonna start with the bottom carb and work my way up. This is unbelievable. It looks like there's water in this carb too. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. It's like, I don't know, but we're gonna get this thing all cleaned up. So I finally have one of the carburetors cleaned, and look at this. A lot more came out when I used the carb cleaner, but wow. So I just took the metal carb and it looks pretty clean, but I'm definitely gonna clean it. It's not as dirty as the bottom one. So this is the top carb. I took it apart and it's a lot cleaner than the two other ones. So as you can see, there is a brass cap, and this is covering a air mixture screw, and with a flathead you could adjust this, but we're gonna have to drill this out. I highly recommend that you drill this out, because over time, if you have an older motor, that screw will move and it'll be out of adjustment. So I have my drill set, and we're gonna get going to taking that out. There we go. So as you can see, the cap came off, and you can see you could take a flathead now, and now you could adjust it. So I gotta fill up my reservoir with 2-stroke oil. Make sure your oil is oil injection compatible. So after adjusting everything, the motor runs really good, no problems. Check this out. So I'm finally done with the engine. It's completely cleaned up. It's ready to go. And it turned out looking really good. Let me just do a quick overview under the hood. Bam, look at that. She looks fantastic. So here's a Yamaha 90. There's nothing really wrong with it other than I need to detail it. But I will start it up just to show you guys how, great they run. So here's the next motor. This is a Yamaha 25. I bought it from a guy. This is an 08. He said it runs great, but it has low compression. I asked him how low. He said 90 psi. That's what his mechanic told him, which is really weird because he said they're both even. Which a lot of times if you use a cheaper gauge, like a Harbor Freight gauge, it does read about 30 psi off, which would make sense, because this motor usually is 120 psi. So we're just gonna see how it runs, because I haven't even heard it run yet. And if it runs good, I'm just gonna clean it up, and we'll just move on to the next one. So I noticed I have the fuel hooked up, and when I'm squeezing the primer bulb, it's dripping fuel at the fuel pump. So I wonder if the diaphragm is punctured, or maybe they didn't tighten that up correctly. So I gotta take the carbs off. I see what the heck's going on. So I had the carburetors apart, and it wasn't the fuel pump leaking. I checked the diaphragms. It was actually the bowl gasket. Because a lot of times when people clean the carbs, they always, you know, reuse the old bowl gasket. This one's not in too bad of a shape. There's no cracks, but it's just worn out. It's already old and hard, so we're gonna put a fresh one in, and that will solve our problem for that. So here's the engine. I got it fully detailed, and she's ready to go. Motor has no issues. I fixed all the issues in it, and gotta move on to the next one. So here's another 25 that I got. This one, the lower unit got locked up. I don't know how. Apparently there's a hole, and it looked like water was getting in there. It's up over here. This is the good one, replacement one I have, and right there's legitly a hole which locked the whole lower unit up completely. We're getting the used lower unit in. So look what they did. Connected two hoses. So we might have a big problem because for some reason the ship shaft rod, you can kind of see it, it's disconnected. So I can't even put this motor into gear. So I'm gonna try to take the carbs off in order to put that back on. So just got that rod in there, got two screwdrivers. Basically it went right in. It took a little bit, but we got it. Now we're just gonna connect the ship shaft. So we have the carbs installed. We're just installing the pull cord assembly, and she's ready to be fired, and we'll see if she starts right up or not. So here's the engine. She looks great. No issues. I got it detailed and everything. Underneath the hood looks really nice. I highly recommend these engines if you guys are looking for a 25 two-stroke. They run really good. I've never had a problem with them, and they're super reliable. So if you guys are looking for a motor, you guys should look into a Yamaha 25 two-stroke. So I'm gonna be working on this Honda 20. The carburetor is off. I've got pieces in here. I removed the pull cord assembly because the pull cord broke. So we're gonna try to fix this. Now we're gonna have to feed it in here. All right, now we gotta pop this cap right here, put the new string on, tie it, and the pull cord's fixed. So I have the carb completely assembled, and now we just have to install it with the airbox, and we'll see how she runs. So the motor runs really good, but it's not pumping a lot of water, which tells me that it's due for an impeller. Well, we're definitely missing some fins. Look at that. Wow. So I just bought a brand new Honda impeller, and I'm gonna install it back in the lower unit, and this motor should be pumping water really good. She runs great. So here's the Honda. It's all cleaned up, and it looks really nice, even underneath the hood. Look at this. Super nice engine. Came out looking really good, and she runs really good too. So look at these motors. I just picked these up. This is a 2011, I think it is, Merc 25 3-cylinder 4-stroke. I was told that it's locked up and that there was water getting into the engine because the seal was bad on the drain bolt for the oil. I don't know if that's true, but that's the story on that. It's currently locked up, and I have this Yamaha 40 2-stroke. Apparently this has been sitting for about a year. I noticed that the spark plugs are removed. Hopefully it has good compression. The trim motor is removed too, and it looks like we're missing a pin right here for the whole trim assembly. So I guess I'm gonna start with that Merc 25, and I don't know, maybe I could get it unfrozen, and who knows, it could be a good motor. But look how clean this engine actually looks. It's not bad at all, and it's electric start. So if we could get this thing running, that would be amazing. So this is the top plug, middle, bottom. The middle and bottom plug look excellent, except the top one. I could tell there is some rust on the plug, which means that there is rust in that cylinder. I wonder if this thing has a bad head gasket. I don't know. I'm gonna pour some stuff in there and we'll see if we can, you know, turn the flywheel. Look at that, no way. So I got the battery hooked up. Let's see if electric start works. Wow. So I got a new oil filter, 3 new plugs, a new crush washer for the drain bolt, and we're gonna put some fresh oil in this engine and we'll see what she does. Ooh, started right up. Hopefully it pumps water. Might need a new water pump. Oh. There we go. I could tell the motor's not running on 3 cylinders right now. It sounds like it's running on 2. So I just took out the top spark plug because this is the spark plug that had some rust on the spark plug. And there is some water on the spark plug, which tells me that the head does have to come off. It's gonna need a head gasket. It's not bad at all to, you know, change it, but it's gonna take a little bit of time, so we're gonna leave this for another video. But hey, 400 bucks, it actually runs. You can't beat it. So I'm gonna take that 40 out and let's see if that one will run. So I got the motor out, sprayed some stuff in the cylinder because I don't know how long it was sitting without the spark plugs in there. I could see that the fuel pump is missing, the fuel filter is missing. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna hook up the harness, hook up the battery cables, and see if we can get a good compression reading. Ooh, looks like we got 110, 120, 130. 110, 130 again. Sweet. We have a good power head. 110, 120, 130 on the dot. So let's just see if this thing will just turn over really quick and fire up. I'm sure it will. Let's give it a shot. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a good running motor. I think I am gonna pull the power head and use it for another motor. Let me guys show you my project that I might, you know, use the parts off of this for my other motor. This is a 40 short shaft 15-inch 2-stroke outboard. The power head on here, it's blown up, low compression. Someone pulled the head off already on it. There's good parts on here, but like I said, I might just take the 40 horsepower power head and put it on here, you know, and I could use that stainless steel prop on there, paint all this, and I have a big tiller arm for this, and you know, it'll be a sweet little motor. It's really hard to find these 40 15-inch shaft engines. So laying on the ground is the next engine I'm gonna be working on. I literally just brought this outside, went inside for a drink, came outside, and this thing's laying on the ground. I mean, this stand is supposed to be rated for a 10 horse, and that's a 9.9, and I'm not making this up. So I got the motor up. I really don't see too much damage, just, you know, stuff from the asphalt right there. Tiller isn't broken, just a couple scratches and stuff right here. I think this is exactly where it fell really hard, right there. You see the puddle down there? That's fuel leaking. It's leaking between the air box right here and the carb, which is telling me is that the carb is overflowing with fuel. So I'm gonna adjust the float on the carb. That's our problem. Look how much fuel is in the airbox. See all that? That shouldn't be like that. It's flooding with fuel. There's too much fuel going into the engine, so we just have to adjust the float. So you see this line right here? I know on most carbs, you want it even with this line right here. And as you can see, it's slightly down, and I had to bring it up some to about right there. And all you have to do is you bend the tab right here that it rides on the needle itself. It's really easy. There's just too much gas going into the engine, and it's just choking it out with fuel. And I pretty much got it even, this line with the bottom side of the carburetor. Look at that, motor runs perfect. It's been running here for 5 minutes, no problems. The problem with this one was the float wasn't adjusted properly, and it was allowing too much fuel into the engine, which was just choking it out. Unfortunately, this is the last engine for this video. But like I said, this thing, look at this. No hesitations. I mean, this thing is running really good. So it's gonna be a wrap. I got all these motors running. As you can see, there's a Yamaha 60 in here because I sold the 50, and I wanted to put something in the video just to show you guys a reference of all the stuff I kind of worked on, you know. But this is a good motor. I just have to clean the carbs on it. But I got all these motors working. A few of them need little things, like I need to clean the carbs on that, but I might use that for my project motor. This thing needs a head gasket. I'll probably use that, you know, for another video. Maybe do a little tutorial on how to replace the head gasket. But a huge shout out to Stern Master Tools for sending me these stands. If you guys can, please check them out. I'll put a link in the description. And if you guys enjoy these types of videos, please let me know. Thanks for watching.